So this is going to take a while. In the speaking exam, you will meet two examiners. One is the interlocutor. This is the person that talks to you. That really nice, exciting person. Oh my god. And there is the assessor. The person that sits at the back of the room who looks at you and writes. Both of these people give you marks. The interlocutor, the person you speak to, gives you 1 mark for global achievement. The assessor gives you 4 marks. And we will look at those categories today and what you can do to increase your marks to get a fantastic mark and say, wow, I did really well in my B2 First Cambridge speaking exam.
We have 4 categories: grammar and vocabulary, discourse management, pronunciation, and interactive communication. Each of these categories are given a score from 1 to 5. 3 or above is a pass. Anything below 3 is a fail. A 3 is the same as a 5 in the B1 speaking exam. A 5 is the same as a 3 in the C1 speaking exam. Basically, we need to make sure we score an average of 3 or above.
Firstly, to pass, you do not need a 3 in everything. You just need an average of 3. So in theory, you could get a 5 in grammar and vocabulary and a 1 in interactive communication and still pass. What do these categories mean then?
Grammar and vocabulary. 3. Shows a good degree of control of simple grammatical forms and attempts some complex grammatical forms. Uses a range of appropriate vocabulary to give and exchange views on a range of familiar topics.
This is super duper important. To get a 3, you must use simple grammar correctly. But also, to get a 1 in the B2 First speaking exam, you must use simple grammar correctly. Remember, a 3 in the B2 First exam is the same as a 5 in the B1 speaking exam. A 1 in the B2 First speaking exam is the same as a 3 in the B1 speaking exam. For the B1 speaking exam, you must know simple grammar. So if you only use simple grammar in your B2 First exam, you will only get a 1. Even if your grammar is perfect, you will only get a 1. No! So the key difference between a 1 and a 3, a fail and a pass, is and attempts some complex grammatical forms. I have said this before and I will say it again. It is better to try and use complex grammar and get it wrong than it is to use simple grammar and do it perfectly. Oh, and don't worry, I have a video all about avoiding the present simple for part 1 of the B2 First Cambridge speaking exam. So watch that video if you want to learn more about avoiding simple grammar. It's fantastic, and so are you. Yes, you are. As for vocabulary, you need to be able to exchange views on a range of familiar topics. That means you can talk about things like diet, sports, jobs, hobbies, family life. Basically, open your B2 First textbook, look at the topics, and learn some words about each of them. Your book is organized into topics for a reason. This is why.
5. Shows a good degree of control of a range of simple and some complex grammatical forms. Uses a range of appropriate vocabulary to give and exchange views on a wide range of familiar topics.
The difference here is that now the candidate can use complex grammatical forms correctly. For a 3, you don't have to use the grammar correctly. You can make mistakes. All you need to do is show the examiner that you are aware that these grammatical structures exist. To score a 5, you have to say, hey, I know that the third conditional exists, and I can use it. Look at me. However, remember that to get a 5, it says can use some complex grammatical forms correctly. To get a 5, you can still make some mistakes. See, it's easy. Here are some examples of complex grammar, and it is really easy to insert them into your speaking. If you want to know how to use them for Part 1, watch my video about Part 1 of the Cambridge B2 First Speaking Exam. If you want to know how to use them for Part 2, watch my video about Part 2. I also have a playlist all about the grammar that you need for the B2 First Cambridge exam, so check that out too, when you have time, of course. And subscribe when you have time. Because if you're doing the B2 First Cambridge exam, it's great to follow someone that knows everything about the exam, because it is their life. My life is the B2 First Cambridge exam. I love that exam, so this is weird. No, come on. Subscribe if you want. You'll learn something about the exam. Bye.
Discourse management. 3. Produces extended stretches of language despite some hesitation. Contributions are relevant and there is very little repetition. Uses a range of cohesive devices.
Extended stretches of language, eh? This is why you mustn't give one-word answers, especially for Part 1, where the interlocutor will ask you simple questions on familiar topics. Monica, do you like music? Yeah. Yeah, I do. This equals failure. Instead, try to extend your answers. It depends, because if I'm on my own, then I love listening to music because I pretend that I'm in a music video. But if I'm with my friends, then I don't like listening to music because I like to talk about myself. Notice that it says, despite some hesitation. It's okay to stop and think for a moment about what you are going to say. English people do this as well. Don't panic, think, and then speak. It's fine. Contributions are relevant. This means that your answer is related to the question. And this may sound obvious, but students want to avoid one-word answers. So to do this, they often start talking about things that were not related to the original question. And if you do that, you lose marks too. So extended stretches of language, please, but also make sure that those extended stretches of language are relevant to the question. Bruce, who are you most similar to in your family? If I had to choose, I would say my dad. And I also have a dog called Jimmy. He likes running around the garden, he chases his ball, and I like going to the cinema with my friends. Yeah, great. This says to the examiner that I don't have the vocabulary or the grammar to answer the question that you have asked me, so I'm going to answer a different question instead. So don't do it. And what was that voice? Cohesive devices are words and expressions like as, but, as well as, moreover, furthermore, despite, in order to, because of, due to. Words that we use to link our ideas together. One way to make sure that you use these is to avoid lists. Monica, do you have anything planned for this weekend? Yeah, of course I do. I'm gonna go to the park, to the cinema, to Johnny's house, he's so hot, to the gym, to my house, obviously. As Monica has used a list to answer this question, there are no cohesive devices. Of course I do. Firstly, I'm gonna go to the cinema, then I'm gonna go to the restaurant, and after that, I'm gonna go to Johnny's house because he is so hot. Moreover, I'm gonna go to the gym, and finally, I'm gonna go home because I don't sleep outside. This was much better.
5. Produces extended stretches of language with very little hesitation. Contributions are relevant and there is a clear organization of ideas. Uses a range of cohesive devices and discourse markers.
For a 5, we need less hesitation, but you can still hesitate a little bit. Organization of ideas means there is a logical progression to what you say, very similar to how you structure an essay. Give your reasons for your thoughts before you present them. Monica, what do you think is more important in competitions? Winning or taking part? I don't know, like winning is great and I love taking part. Like when I win, I feel really sexy because I take part in beauty competitions a lot and I always win. And when I win, everyone says, we knew you were gonna win because you're so hot. So I feel great when I win. But if I didn't take part, people would be really sad because they would say, Monica, why didn't you take part? You're the most beautiful girl in the world. So I also love taking part. Here Monica is being relevant, she's not hesitating, it's an extended stretch of language, her grammar is perfect, her vocabulary is good, but organizationally it is a mess. We can see no clear thought process here. And you, Bruce? When I was young I never used to win anything, and all the other kids would laugh at me. My mum, she would say, little Bruce, don't you worry. The taking part is what is important, but I never felt anything from taking part. In fact, it made me feel sad. So I think that winning is more important than taking part. Yeah. Here Bruce recounted personal information at the beginning, which gives a context to his opinion, so we understand why he has that opinion. This is what we mean by organization of ideas. For a 5, we have the addition of discourse markers. These usually don't mean anything. English people use them a lot before or after they speak to give them time to think about what they are going to say or what they have said. Words like, so, you know, to be honest, basically, to tell you the truth, actually, to be frank, well. Monica, do you enjoy dancing? So like, well, yeah, basically, yeah, you know, I don't really love it, but like the guys, when they see me do it, they really love me. So like, I do it all the time, like, right, you know what I mean, right? Totally. Yeah, don't use them that much, like Monica.
Pronunciation. 3. Is intelligible. Intonation is generally appropriate. Sentence and word stress is generally accurately placed. Individual sounds are generally articulated clearly.
To score high marks in pronunciation, you don't need to sound like a native English speaker. To score a 3, you must be intelligible. That means that the interlocutor and the assessor can understand what you are saying. Also, your sentence and word stress should be accurately placed. For example, do you prefer watching movies at home or going to the cinema? I always go to the cinema! Here, Bruce has stressed the word cinema, and this is strange. Instead, the stress should be on the word always. I always go to the cinema. My mother is a secretary. Here, Bruce has stressed the second syllable, secretary, of the word secretary. The stress should be on the first syllable, so the word stress is wrong. Individual sounds refers to phonemes. Sounds like cut, bed, cat. If you get these individual sounds wrong, you might be unintelligible. And so being intelligible and pronouncing these single sounds correctly are connected. And we also have intonation is generally appropriate. Intonation is how your voice rises and falls when you talk. For example, in English, when we ask a question, the intonation generally rises. Really? Yeah, really. The best advice I can give you for this is be happy. Don't be bored or nervous or anxious, because when you're bored and nervous and anxious, your intonation flattens. If you are happy, your intonation usually rises and falls, and you express more emotion. and your intonation will be more natural. So don't worry about this. Don't practice it because then you might sound like a weirdo. Instead, relax and enjoy your exam.
5. Is intelligible, intonation is appropriate, sentence and word stress is accurately placed. Individual sounds are articulated clearly.
Yeah, I mean, to get a 5, what can I say? It's the same as 3, just do it better. What? That's your advice? Yeah, what do you want?
Interactive communication. 3. Initiates and responds appropriately, maintains and develops the interaction and negotiates towards an outcome with very little support.
Initiating appropriately means asking your partner relevant questions. This is especially important for part 3 of the speaking exam, which requires you to talk with and work with your partner, like a team, a great English learning team. Yes, we love teams. Responding appropriately means you understand what the question is being asked and you give an answer that's relevant to that question. Oh wow, bros, you have a dog? What's he like? He likes sausages and bowls. Bowls and sausages? Sausages and bowls. Yes. Oh, okay. Here, Bruce misunderstood the question, so he is not responding appropriately. Yeah, I really love animals too. When I was young, I used to have this pet rabbit and he was called Tintin. Yeah, Monica, do you like pizza? Here, Bruce is not initiating appropriately. His question had nothing to do with what Monica was talking about before him. Maintaining and developing the interaction towards an outcome is very important. Think about part 3 of the speaking exam, where you must talk and work with your partner. You will be given a question to discuss and topics to include in your discussion. It is very important that you cooperate, that you interact, that you work with your partner when you do this, to try and solve the problem of the task. The simplest way to do this for a 3 is to ask your partner questions. Seriously, to get a 3, after you have spoken, ask your partner a question. That will get you a 3, I promise. But that's not very difficult, and we want a 5. So what must we do to get a 5 for interactive communication in the B2 First Cambridge Speaking Exam?
5. Initiates and responds appropriately, linking contributions to those of other speakers. Maintains and develops the interaction and negotiates towards an outcome.
The most important thing for a 5 is linking what you say to what your partner said before you. Everything you say must be connected in some way to what your partner said before you started opening your mouth. What do you think makes a good friend? I think that a good friend is someone that will always tell me how beautiful I am. Yeah, it's nice to be told that you are beautiful, Monica, and I wish my friends would tell me I was beautiful more. But in my opinion, Monica, a good friend is someone that does not always tell you what you want to hear. Someone that tells you the truth. The truth is, Monica, you've got a beard. Here, Bruce clearly disagrees with what Monica said before him, but he didn't say, I disagree. Instead, he acknowledged what Monica said by rephrasing it, he gave his opinions on it, and then he expressed his disagreement with her. That's what you need to do with your partner to get a 5 in the B2 First Speaking Exam. If you want more information on how to do that, then watch my video all about part 3 of the B2 First Cambridge Speaking Exam. So, that strange person sitting at the back of the room looking at you and writing is marking you on those 4 criteria: grammar and vocabulary, discourse management, pronunciation, and interactive communication. But that happy person you're talking to is also secretly marking you in their head. And this is on something called global achievement. I cannot find this marking scheme online, so I cannot share it with you. If I do, Cambridge might eat my face. However, I can tell you what that person is thinking when they are giving you a mark. They are thinking, how comfortable is this candidate? Is this candidate relaxed? Does this exam seem difficult to the candidate? Can I have a natural conversation with this candidate? Can the candidate's partner have a good conversation with the candidate? If the answer is yes to those questions, then you are going to score high marks. So relax. This is the easiest mark to get good marks on. Trust me. Of course, if you need extra help with the individual parts of the B2 First Cambridge Speaking Exam, then I have individual videos on Part 1, Part 2 and Part 3, as well as other videos on little tips and pieces of advice that might help you get the marks of your dreams. Is that even a thing? Marks of your... Who dreams about high marks? God. And with that, we are finished. Now you know all you need to know about how examiners mark your B2 First Speaking Exam. If you liked the video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment down below. My name is Toby, and this was Smash English.